What if you could personalize nearly anything you own with just a simple tool and a little creativity?
Hi, I'm Chas from chascrazycreations, and today I'm sharing how to get started engraving using two beginner-friendly tools.
The Dremel Engraver and the Plaid Engraver. These budget-friendly projects are perfect for gifts organizing and just adding a creative touch to your home. Before we get started, don't forget your eye and ear protection. Safety always comes first when working with engraving tools. For this project, I'm going to be using this glass container that I found at Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using some adhesive stencils for this project, and I found this one that says Thirsty. I'm going to peel it up and place it onto the glass. Now I'm going to take a dry erase marker and I'm going to color in the word tea. This will make it as a guide for me when I'm using the engraving tool. It also makes it easy to remove when I'm done in case any of the remaining marker is left behind. For this project, I'm going to use the Plaid battery-operated tool. Now, the Plaid tool comes with a variety of tips, including a buffer, a grinder, and a sanding band. I'm using the sharp engraver point tip for this one because it seems like it's fine and detailed, and I don't want to make a mistake. And I'm just going to trace over all of the letters that the dry erase marker was and go right over the top of that. The important thing here is to just go slow and take your time. Now, because it's glass, I'm going to go ahead and change the tip to the buffer. And I'm going to run that buffer tip over the top of it to smooth it out and make sure that there's no sharp edges. And here's a closer look at the finished result. Are you a tea or coffee drinker? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be using this to hold my loose teas in my kitchen. Engravers work great on plastic too, and I'm going to be using this tumbler for this next project. Just like before, I'm going to use a stencil because I trust it better than sometimes my handwriting. So I'm going to peel off the word cheers and place it onto the plastic cup. And once again, I'm going to use the dry erase marker to color it in and then remove that adhesive stencil. This was off of the same set of stencils and the letters are very fine. So I went ahead and used the Plaid Engraver for this one as well with that fine tip. Both of my engravers have a sound, so I want you to be able to hear a little bit of this one in action. Now, I will say this one is quieter of the two if that's something that's important, and again, wearing that hearing protection will always help. Now, I could use the little buffer again if I wanted to, but this one seemed pretty smooth. I didn't dig in that deep in the plastic, so all I had to do was kind of wipe it clean. You can also use Sharpie marker and then just remove it with rubbing alcohol. The one thing that happens with glass is sometimes it's a little hard to see, and you can see that since the cup is beveled, it's a little trickier too. You will be able to see it just fine. It's just sometimes hard to pick up on camera. So let me give you an example. I'm going to put a little packet mix in here and I'm going to give it a little stir. And now you'll be able to see the words just a little bit better when it's on camera. Now these are permanently engraved into the plastic or glass. So you can put things in the dishwasher on the top rack as long as it's dishwasher safe. For this project, I'm just using a ceramic mug that I found at Dollar Tree. Now I've added some little plastic bottles that I'll be using later just to stabilize my handle. And I'm going to use these stencils and I'm going to color in once again, but this time using letters. And we're going to spell the word dad. Now I will admit I used a dry erase marker again, but I think I should have used a Sharpie because the dry erase marker wipes off pretty easily on this glazed ceramic. And you'll see here, I use the word dad. Now you could personalize this with initials, names, anything you want, but I love it when it's customizable. So for this one, I'm going to use my Dremel Engraver. Now this one plugs in, so you have to be plugged in or close to an outlet or have an extension cord on it to help you move around. It's not battery operated like the other one. This one has a dial, so the intensity of the engraver can be changed. So that's another positive feature on this one. Another feature that I like about this one is it feels more like a pen or a pencil. You can get much closer to the tip, giving you a little extra control. Now, I do want to share with you how loud this one is. So, as you can see, it is much louder than the other one. In fact, the other one I had at full volume for you. This one I turned down because it was maxed out and in the red on my editing software. Again, take your time. There's no rush. You want to make sure to have clean lines or as clean as you can. So I learned something when doing this mug. I learned that the engraver did a light etching and then at other points went through the glaze entirely. So if I would have hung lighter, I could have done all of it in that lighter dad. Or I need to dig deeper and get through all of the glaze to the white part of the ceramic. So I ended up switching back to the other Plaid Engraver and put on a different bit. This one I'm using the ball tip and it's going right through that glaze with no trouble at all. With this bit, I will note that although it's going through easily, it's spinning up a lot of dust that I'm having to wipe away constantly, and it's a little harder to get clean lines with this one. Once I dug through the ceramic, I went back to the Dremel and cleaned up all of the lines. I wanted them a little more defined. And I do want to note that Dremel has another level where it's just a Dremel and you can buy different bits for it. So you can buy engraving bits for their other tool as well. So just keep all of these in mind so that you can choose the right tool for you. Then I went back to the Plaid Engraver and added their sanding tool so that I could smooth out all of the indents and make them a little cleaner. Then I used the buffing tool and buffed it all up. And here it is all finished. I think this is going to make a great Father's Day gift. Which one is your favorite so far? Let me know in the comments below. For this project, I'm going to use a rock. I'm going to use an adhesive stencil with the word relax on it, and then I'm going to use a dry erase marker to color it in and then peel it off. For this one, I'm using the Dremel Engraver, and I've got it on a setting of 3, which is halfway between the top and the bottom. And then I just trace over all the letters with it. Just make sure to take your time, because when I tend to go too fast, I accidentally bump something I didn't want to, and I mess it up. Once I was done, I went ahead and used a damp paper towel to wipe it off. That tells me if I missed anything or if I need to go back and do anything again. Here it is all finished. I think this would make a great gift. It also makes a great worry stone. Let's talk about some practical uses. These are travel bottles that I use, and I have filled them and labeled them with a permanent marker, but the marker always comes off. And I can't tell which one's the shampoo, conditioner, and body wash sometimes because they're all colored similarly. So I'm just freehanding this with the Dremel tool. And I'm going to also demo it with the Plaid Engraver. And you'll be able to see the difference. One digs a little deeper than the other. Now, again, the Dremel tool, I'm only using a 3. Maybe if I pushed it a little harder or put it up to a 5, it would dig a little deeper as well. But for this particular project, I thought that the Plaid Engraver did a little better job. So here's a look at the one that was done with the Dremel. And then I'm going to show you the ones that were done with the Plaid Engraver. Now, while you're looking at these, I do want to shout out that I have used these on my kids' school supplies, rulers, calculators, things like that, so that they are labeled ours. If they're in a math class with everybody using the same calculator and everybody grabs everybody's, how do you know which one is yours? And how do you make sure you get yours back? This is one of the tricks that I use for that. I'm using a metal keychain for this next project, and this is a breast cancer survivor keychain, but the back is plain, so we're going to utilize the back. Now, I'm just using a dry erase marker again, and I'm writing my own name. But think about this, preserving people's handwriting using engraving. Now, I opted for the ball tip for the Plaid Engraver on this one. Now, once again, it was a little harder to control. So if you want a little more fine lines and fine tuning, I would probably use one of the other tips instead. But this one did a nice job of being wide and getting what I wanted to out of it. Because it was metal, I went ahead and used the buffer to make sure to remove anything that might be a little sharp. Now, here is the back, and I thought about adding the date that I finished my radiation treatment. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. I'm adding it to my backpack. This I take on travel trips with me, so I like that it has my name on it as well. For this project, I'm using a picture frame that I found at Dollar Tree. I'm using the Dremel Engraver, and I'm just freehanding a design on my own, just making wavy lines and drawing on some leaves on both of the sides of the frame. I'm adding a stencil to the top and coloring it in with the word family. I'm going to be able to change the year at the bottom with a little piece of paper when I change out our family photos. I use the Dremel Engraver over the word family to engrave it out. Now, I do want to note here that unless there's a difference in the color of the wood, it may not show up well. So one tip that is suggested is to stain your wood first and then do the engraving second. That will make that word or the words you choose or numbers really pop. Now I left this as is and you can still see it, and in fact the little marker soaked into the wood, so I would have to etch out all of that to make that go away. Out of all of these projects, which one would you want to start first? Let me know in the comments below. Now, in addition to this, they do sell engraving patterns. You put tracing paper underneath of them and you trace over them onto the transfer paper, and it will then mark up your item, and then you just engrave that. Another option of something you can do is use the rub-on transfers. They sell these at Dollar Tree and other places as well. You would rub-on transfer the item that you want to engrave, and then you would engrave over the top of that to remove that item. Which one of these projects will you try? Let me know in the comments below. And I hope this inspires you to try some of these engraving projects of your own. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel and my blog at chascrazycreations.com.
Get my free guide, 21 sensible home hacks to make you a smarter homeowner. Look for the link in the description below.
Thanks for watching.
And I'll see you in my next video.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.